Welcome back to the Heal with Gold show. I am so psyched for this meeting. I feel blessed, I really feel blessed that I'm getting I'm attracting these very special individuals into my life. I think that before I started this business and before I started my direction, I didn't cross paths. Hi Marina, I didn't cross paths with this quality and uniqueness of the people that I'm bringing to you. So I'm so happy. I'm so excited to bring Alok to you. So I just want a little bit to tell you. I have been on a search to grow my company, to fit my company into the right direction that I have in my mind. And one of the people that I crossed paths doing this search was Alok. And I am blown away. And I have no doubt that Alok is going to be part of my journey. But I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for that to start, for me to bring you to bring him to my community, because I love you guys and I'm in this journey together with you. And I need you to see what happens when you join forces and when you create a circle of people around you that are in the same level of what you want to achieve. Alok is this person, and we're going to talk a little bit about his past, his Hi Leslie, about his adversities, his overcomings, and how he developed what he's doing today. We're going to talk about Costa Rica. We're going to talk about his lifestyle. And I think that it's going to be an inspiration for all of you who have businesses, but all of you just with your lives. So without further ado, my new friend, Alok. Hi, Alok.
Oh, thank you so much. What a joy to be here and to celebrate time with you.
I was really looking forward for this time with you. I know how precious your time is, how selective you are with your time. So I feel honored, and I know the people in the community, the people that are already here, and the people who are going to be listening to you later, how they are going to grow and benefit from your brilliance. So thank you.
Well, it's a joy to be here.
Look, let's start a little bit with your life before Uplifting Millions, before all of that. Tell me about your personal life, what happened with your mom, your experiences, and then how your business developed from that.
Yeah, thanks. For me, the journey's really been a heart-centered journey of how do we use our lives to make other people's lives better. And I'd been on that path. And then in 2009, my mother died in my arms in the bathroom of her home from cancer after a long, long battle. And I carried her body across the hall, held her until paramedics came. And now I've carried on her legacy of making other people's lives better.
This is it's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to carry. I lost my father 2 years ago, also to cancer. And I was holding his hand when he took his last breath. Thank God that I was there, because we don't live near each other. So I understand this desire also to continue this legacy. My father was an amazing speaker. And every time I'm on stage and every time I speak, I do it for me, but I do it for us, and I know that he's with me. And when I wrote my first book and my book came out on the year anniversary of his death, and he has written 11 books, and I felt the same way, it's this continuation. So the reason we do it is very deep. I mean, it's in our core, right?
Yeah, I mean, this, I always say to people, to go the path of what we call social enterprise, social impact business, there's a lot of different terms for it. You have to have a little bit of a bolt crazy, because it's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. And to be very honest with everybody, there are far easier paths than this path that we've chosen, right? And at least in my experience. And so it's a deeper calling. It's one that it's not a choice. It's just a beingness.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your business journey, because it is fascinating. We do so many things. We have done so many things, that so many similarities. You had a clothing brand, but you did the energy work.
Yeah.
Tell me, the whole thing is so fascinating, because what I want people to take from it also is that you can work in different fields, you can do different things in life, and sometimes the mission, the purpose connects all of them, but the work itself is so different. But if the vision and the purpose is what's meaningful for you, go for it. I read a book called I think it's called I'm a Multi-Potentialite.
I've heard the term.
You have the term, right? So when I read that book, I said, okay, so I'm not a crazy person, because, I did graphics and marketing, and now I'm doing fashion and coaching and speaking and writing. And, who am I? What am I doing? But it's really this mission and this purpose behind that ties everything together. So tell me about you.
Yeah, Uplift Millions, the company that I founded and CEO of, really is just simply the next iteration of a lifelong commitment to impact. And you're exactly right. My journey, it's not been a straight line, right? But the theme stems from when I was about 19, and I had a spiritual experience in North India that changed my life. And it led to just a simple mission. And, I'd hear about create your mission, find your mission. And honestly, back then when I was 19, I didn't have fancy words for it. The mission was literally this: do good, make other people's lives better. That was it. I was like, I even thought to myself, is this even what a mission is? Like, I didn't even know. But it was the only thing that really made sense to me. It was like, do good, make other people's lives better. And literally everything I've done, all the fancy stuff, the TEDx talks and the clean energy companies, the global media for women to reshape body image, mass media, and sustainable clothing, and to now run a coaching company, it's all the same thing. Do good, do your best to make other people's lives better. And so, for me, it's been a 20-year journey. There's been successes, there's been splats and fall downs and bumps along the way. And, when people see what's happening for our company now, they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And I literally look at them and I say, it's a 20-year overnight success.
Yes, I'm familiar. People always think that things go fast because they're not in our living rooms crying with us when things fall apart. So they have no idea the tears, the sweat, and blood that goes behind it. You recently went to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is actually a dear place. My husband's family, they're from Costa Rica. We've been there a few times. And it's interesting when I go there, even though it's his background, but I'm Brazilian. So when I go there, I feel a little bit like I'm going home. And I want you to share with us this whole plant ceremony. Yeah. I'm curious about it. I've heard a little bit about it, but I want to hear more from you. I know that this transformed your life. It transformed your business. Woo. How does it work there?
Thank you so much for creating a space for us to have a deeper conversation. I truly believe that the path of being a social impact entrepreneur, right? Somebody who uses business to make other people's lives better, is really a personal growth journey. Entrepreneurship will spotlight, so many parts of who you are that have the opportunity for growth and evolution. And so for me, my entrepreneurial journey has also dovetailed my personal growth journey, my personal evolution. I began reading Eckhart Tolle and, A New Earth and Power of Now and all these things randomly. I mean, I didn't even have a plan for it. It was like I saw the book on the shelf when I was much younger at Barnes & Noble. something called to me, spirit sort of guided me in that direction. So, to answer your question about Costa Rica, I just want everyone to hear that it's been part of this curiosity about what isn't taught in schools, right? Communication, human development, emotional mastery, central nervous system, handling trauma, right? Like all these things really haven't been normalized conversation. So, to share about Costa Rica, I just want to kind of share that your ability to be an entrepreneur, I truly believe, especially a heart-centered entrepreneur, is going to be predicated on one's own journey of healing and growth and opening. So some of the things I may be about to say, for some of you watching, may be totally normal. And for some of you watching, might be really out there. Yeah. I just got back from a place, my partner Caitlin and I have gone twice. It's a place called Rhythmia. It is the first 5-star eco resort that is medically licensed by a national government to hold plant ceremony experiences. And so in this case, it happens to be ayahuasca, which is a medicine that's been used for over 5,000 years by indigenous communities in the Amazon region. It is a very powerful experience. I'm not even going to tell you it's an easy experience. I think anybody who tells you that ayahuasca is an easy experience, I think would be telling you not a truth in my experience. And it is not, it is also something I want to really flag. This isn't a drug experience. Like, you're not going to Costa Rica for medicine ceremony, to be on drugs. For me, it was a deeply healing journey. Not easy, but incredibly healing. I mean, and for each person, the experience is very different. So we sat for 4 nights of ceremony. It's a week-long experience. There's breath work on either sides, but it is 4 nights of plant ceremony. And every night is different. It's not like there's some sort of linear experience, but the profound nature of what I learned, I can't even put into words. And I came back, and my first meeting with my team, it just was like, they were already on board for what we stood for at Uplift Millions. But the depth and the breadth of the vision and the commitment of the team, like, went 100-fold, if I could say it that way. And I was just honest with them. I took them on my journey. I said, here's what got revealed. It was not easy, but here's where we're headed as a company. So, yeah, I'm happy. If anything you want to know, I'm happy to dive in.
Well, I'm super curious because you're talking to somebody. You could pay me, I would never do it. Right. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I wouldn't do it. Yeah. I am so petrified from losing control. I have never in my life gotten drunk. Right. I have never in my life tried weed. I am just that kind of a person that, for me, maintaining the control of how I behave is a stronger need than any kind of escape. Right. So for good or for bad, I just need to behave, I need to watch that. Right. So, and also if there is one person in this, when the medications in the side effects, they say 0.5% of humanity will feel this. Right. I'm the one that 0.5%. Right. So, even with general, like, stupid drugs, so.
Yeah. So this is where, I mean, first and foremost, I'll flag this particular place. They screen out people. Mm-hmm. So, it's not just like it's a free for all of anybody who can pay the money, right? It's a big investment. So first and foremost, like, I'll just speak for your situation. If there are contraindications based on your way of living or your health or your blood pressure, various things, they actually won't let you come. So, just know that it's not like someone's going to be hard selling you on why you should go do this experience. In saying that, the most profound piece, so the medicine is considered a feminine medicine. It's a grandma medicine. It's not a masculine medicine.
Interesting.
And so it's referred to as a she. It's
Uh-huh.
referred to as she, grandmother, mother ayahuasca. And the piece that I think is profound, just reflecting on what you're saying, is, she's not going to show you what you want to see. She's going to show you what you need to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I hear you describe control, and, we've talked about business, right? Like, well, where is that showing up and where is that holding you back? Like, is that still serving you? Right. So if one was, I would literally say precisely to go on the medicine journey, precisely for the very reason that you would be resisting.
I totally hear what you're saying. I set up myself small goals when it comes to breaking this path of by holding myself back, right? Being careful with myself.
Right.
So you talk about breath. I went to a breath workshop.
Yep.
And in itself, it was, Alok, I was blown away. Blown away. First of all, oxygen was like a drug.
That's correct.
The way you were breathing through the breath workshop, it became a drug.
That's
oxygen,
right.
Just oxygen.
That's right.
And then the person who was guiding, she would feel where the energy was stuck. And she'd come and touch that place and say the right words for you, right? She would whisper in the ear and saying, you are enough.
That's right.
You can do this. And the crying, the tears that happen in the room. And I remember being there, feeling high from the oxygen, feeling like I was in a different place, like, where am I? And feeling a need to get up and hug every single person who was crying.
That's right.
It was such a strong need that I felt to go and hug these people. I'm a huggy, feely kind of a person.
Sure.
So I felt like such a calling because I was feeling their feelings.
That's right.
In that room, maybe because I'm an empath, I don't know, I'm sensitive like that, but I felt, so when the session was over, I had my own personal feelings, but I felt like I had their personal feelings. It was such a special, unique situation. You felt a closeness with the people in the room with you, even though you knew nothing about them.
Yeah, that what you just touched on is so profound. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights are all breath work. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights are medicine journey. But because they had so many people with contraindications, what I just found out on this trip is that for the first time, they did an all breath work week.
Wow.
Okay? Monday, Tuesday, the whole week, just breath work, no medicine. And people have, even in our sessions, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was like my mother came to me in one of the breath work situations.
Wow.
I connected her with my son, who she never got to meet. Like, so I'm not saying here to anybody, only ayahuasca ceremonies are the channel, right? There's a combination. There's meditation, right? There's breath work.
Hypnotherapy.
There's all sorts of things. So I just happen to know that the combination of these things, and I've just moved into an openness in my life, is been beyond profound. And to allow myself to ask the very difficult questions about what's been hard for me in life, right? And to be able to get vulnerable. And I brought those deepest questions to my plant ceremonies, and the answers, we're talking answers, not like a little hint about something. I'm knowing answers,
Is there
body.
any, do you have one example that you feel comfortable sharing with us? If not, it's totally okay.
Yeah, that's okay. For example, on this trip, I wanted to explore intimacy and trust, right? Because that can show up in one's relationship, right?
Mhm.
Not rocket science. I grew up seeing quite a bit of alcoholism, various forms of violence in households around. I grew up in a pretty complicated neighborhood, and so I went in with a question around intimacy, trust. How is that showing up in my relationship? Now, one would logically say that it probably stems somewhere in my intimate relationships, right? So in ceremony, I'm literally, I'm going through. But the thing is, you're doing this all in light speed, right? Like I don't know if people get into quantum physics, space-time continuum, but things are different in that. And so I'm going through all this and I cannot find this, whatever the circumstance is, right? But the medicine's taking me and taking me. And then it was revealed. And it was a circumstance from when I was 9 that wasn't actually in a dating situation, but there was a different situation that had to do with a girl that was in the class. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, wow. No wonder I associate like these things. I mean, I cannot tell you how profound. I went and talked to Caitlin about it later that night, as we were, and I said, oh my God, I can now understand. And I apologized. I took ownership. But until you connect and realize you can't show up as a better man, a better partner, a better father, a better other entrepreneur. And I'm not saying, I mean, breath work maybe could have gotten me there, but I'm telling you, it happened in this moment in one condensed experience. And it was clear as day.
It's
I'm a different
fascinating.
man. It's fascinating.
I have to tell you that I understand today, and it's interesting how I believe in God, and I believe that the people that come that I come across, they come at the right time for a very specific reason, and it's up to us to take those opportunities. But right, I was hypnotized for the first time and only time last year. That was also something that I did that I was very scared. I didn't want to do it for the same reasons of control. I was afraid of what I was going to say. I was afraid of what I was going to see. But I this is like me trying. And it was a 3-hour session.
Yeah.
And today I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
If I had spoken to you before my hypnotherapy session, I don't think that I would have understood so well what you were explaining. And I'm almost feeling through you that energy and that power, because it's bringing me back to my experience. And it's so real. The things that I saw and how I saw, I have something that I always say. And it's funny how we say things, because we say they happen more and more, right, in our lives. But you say because there is something that happens in your childhood that made you feel that way. And as a grown-up, as an adult, you try to figure out, where did this show up in my life before? But it's not necessarily what we think it is, because right now we're looking at the situation from an adult's point of view. But whatever happened to us as a child, we were seeing as a child. It is not the exact thing that happened, but it is how it affected us at that time when we were 7, 8, 9 years old, right? The perception that we had at that time. There's something that I always say is that I'm always alone. And it's interesting because I'm married for 32 years and thank God to an amazing man, and I don't feel alone in my marriage, and I don't feel alone in life, and I have my children, and we're close, and I'm close to my mother. I was extremely close with my father, and I have 2 sisters that I'm in contact, and somehow the theme of I feel alone always is there.
Right.
And it was very interesting when we did the hypnotherapy session to understand that moment in which I felt alone.
That's right.
You know, I was a young child. Me and two of my girlfriends, they told me to do it. I didn't want to do it because we were going to do something bad. We left class and we went in an area of the school that we weren't allowed to go, and we got caught. But the other two had parents who worked in the school. So they ended up not getting in trouble. And I was the only one who got in trouble. Being singled out and feeling like I didn't have a parent in the school to protect me.
Right.
It was, the story began of that feeling of alone. And even though I wasn't really alone then, right? But that story carried on through my life. And then you have to start doing the work of telling yourself as an adult that no, you're not really alone. It was that child that felt alone at that point, you know?
And you might have forgotten it. I mean, that's, I think, the big piece. I mean, one of the, you bring up hypnosis, another super powerful modality that has absolutely changed my life. And so, you know, again, we can add breath work, hypnosis, NLP, timeline therapy, right? Like medicine, whatever the, you know, the various forms. But that's why in our Blue Zone CEO program, we've added hypnosis and timeline therapies in there because, you know, in all these business programs, everybody thinks it's just strategy. And I'm like, no, the way we crack through 7 figures and are doing all these amazing things, it's actually been because of the healing that I myself am committing myself to. And Caitlin has asked me, you know, even take it further, right? So not only as a better entrepreneur, but to be a better man, a better husband, a better partner, a better father, right? It's that healing of stuff that, you know, most of us, in my case, for example, there's some other things that I probably won't go into on our time together, but like we bury some of those things that happened as kids. Then we spend a lifetime overcompensating and creating what they down at Rhythmia call a split, right? Where there's the difference between who you are and who you essentially turn yourself into to navigate the world, right? You figure out, oh, I can't quite, it's not safe for me to truly be who I am. But if I show up as this person, ooh, now I'm safer, right? And so whether it's breath work or any of these other modalities to merge back with your soul and come back into your root stuff, it's not just for personal growth. You will change as a leader in the world when you do that work.
It's incredible. And, you know, I started working and coaching and first I started working on myself, and then I started working with others. And I see what you're saying as to how when we work on our personal growth the proper way, our work completely reshapes itself and takes, correct, you become so much more focused and driven, because now you are able to discern the difference between the fluff, the noise, and say, no, that's noise, because now I know that that's noise, and I can focus on my work with intention and really, you know, profit and grow the company. And it's incredible, but it all stems from self-discovery. It all stems from introspection. You know, stop hiding behind this facade. And I think it's so funny. I was talking to somebody and he was asking me, oh, did you see this on social media? Or did you see that? Or did you listen to that podcast? And I said to him, you know, I'm not a consumer of all of that, because I think that once you find yourself, you're not trying to be somebody else. And you're not, yes, you're learning, but you're being very intentional with what you're reading. Instead of wasting time, you are going to that Eckhart Tolle book, you know, you're going to that exactly the right words and things that you need to learn for that time. And you're not wasting with noise and comparing yourself to other people, because their journey is their journey. I'm happy for your journey, you know, but I'm on my journey and I need to go ahead on my journey. So I need to be busy with my journey. I need to take those steps to progress so many people today, they're online consuming social media, forgetting about their purpose, forgetting about where they need to go, and they're comparing to somebody else, feeling miserable about themselves, but somebody else's journey is not even yours. Where they're going is not even yours. Like,
we see this in our CEO mastermind all the time, right? Especially like this is especially true when you bring high achievers together, because I laugh all the time. I literally tell them, I'm like, do you all realize how ridiculous you sound? Because you're comparing yourself to each other, but these are all high achievers in here. You all are, you're being hard on yourself here, but you're already functioning and achieving at the top 1%, you know? Like, I'm like, this is where be gentle with yourself, right? Like, high achievers think, oh, if I'm hard on myself, I will actually achieve my highest. And in my case, I want high achievers who are going to make an impact, right? So I'm like, no, when you're hard on yourself and you're comparing yourself to others and you're moving into those negative emotional states, you actually reduce your impact. You're not increasing your impact. My book coming out in January is called Maximum Impact Potential. And one of the things is around how do you keep yourself actually creating your maximum impact. It's not going to be by negatively comparing yourself to somebody else. There will always be that person that's quote unquote ahead of you. Celebrate where they're at, celebrate what they've created, cheer them on as evidence from the universe of what's possible for you, right? Let go of all that comparison-itis and woo, that is just, that's going to slow you down.
You know, it's very interesting because I told my husband sometimes, we are Orthodox, so we keep strict laws and we're very careful. You know, we live our lives by quite strict rules.
Yep.
But I would consider myself modern Orthodox, which means I'm strict, but you know, I'm not like all the way to the right. Okay. There's things that I'm not there yet in certain things. Yeah. And my husband always wants to be more and do more and be more righteous, right? And be more careful. And one time I told him, if God wanted you to be Moses, you would have been Moses.
That's correct.
Right? Meaning you are right now. You are right now in this very moment. This is the moment that you have to be at.
That's right.
So it's not that you are not where you're meant to be. You are exactly in the place, in the state, in the country, in the society, your friends, your listeners, your crowd, the people who are here, the people who are listening later. You are exactly in the moment, in the very specific place where you need to be. From here, you grow. From here, you empower others. From here, you achieve more. But if you're comparing with somebody else, what you're saying is that your presence and the moment that you are at right now, that's not the moment where you should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a language of lack. Okay?
Exactly.
It's a language of lack that like something is somehow wrong. And, you know, one of the turning point moments in my life was when I lost everything in 2016. And, you know, I'd been this rising star in the social impact business space and all this stuff. And then things fell apart. It was one of the hardest years of my life, and lived in one room studio, had no car, had to take care of my 4-year-old son. And I was just like, how did this happen? I work hard. I'm not lazy. I've got a heart of gold that wants to be absurd. Like all that. I'm like, literally, I was like, God, what am I missing? You know? And the reality, and I say this on stage in front of, you know, thousands of people, is that the thing I wasn't able to do back then was to ask for help, you know?
Oh my God, Alok, let me just tell you something. This asking for help.
Yeah.
This was my 2021.
Yeah.
That was my test.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you something. Wow.
Yeah.
You would think, right? So many people ask for help. You would think that asking for help, like ask for help. But I uncovered something. I uncovered something very hard. I asked myself one day, Miriam, are you not asking for help because maybe you feel superior? Because you
Sure.
feel that you give because you are at a higher level than other
Sure.
people, and you are here to serve, and you are never going to be on the receiving end? And when I said those words, I was criticizing myself.
Yeah.
I can take it. I'm really strong. I can take it from everybody, by the way. Anybody here who wants to criticize me, I listen and I ponder. If I agree, I tell you. If I don't agree, I also tell you.
Sure.
But I was criticizing myself, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying, could it be that this is coming from an ego?
Yeah.
And I was so sad. Alok, I was so sad. I said, can it be that I grew up believing and knowing that my job was to give of myself to others because that's what makes me joyful?
Yeah.
And that suddenly I say to myself, oh my God, am I doing this because I'm an egotistic
Sure.
person? Was it not true kindness? Like, how can it be? And it took me this year to learn one thing, that when you ask for help, you are a giver,
Yeah.
because you are giving the opportunity for somebody else to share their gifts with you. You were giving this opportunity.
That's right.
And my giving was up until this point. And when it came to me to receive, it was, I didn't want to owe. I didn't want to owe anybody.
Sure.
And I had to unpack that. And when my husband got so sick this year, I started asking everybody for prayers. I started asking for meals. I started asking for, can you help me with this in business? Can you help me with that? And the pouring of love that came in, and allowing myself to being on the receiving end, opened up a whole side that I didn't knew that was there. An excitement about also asking, an excitement about collaborating in an equal way and not from a superior way.
Yeah, the superior. I think this is so huge, and I hope everybody's really listening to what you just said. For me, the the version of superior that you're the flavor was a little different, but similar root. So in my case, there were two factors. One was ego, right? Ego said to me, Alok, you're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are problem solvers. So do you see all those successful entrepreneurs out there? Well, they clearly figured it out on their own because they're a problem solver. So they must have figured it out on their own.
Interesting.
So what? And then, so that was one piece, right? Ego said successful entrepreneurs out there are problem solvers, and clearly they figured it out. So you should be able to do that too. Just work harder, Alok. Just work harder, work longer hours, and don't and make it look like you know what you're doing. And eventually it'll work out. You know, if you just work hard enough and long enough, the universe will reward you. And just like all those other successful entrepreneurs, you'll finally get successful too. Then there was the other piece. The other piece was embarrassment, because I would see all of them supposedly figuring it out on their own. And I wasn't always figuring it out on my own, even though I was working my ass off. And so I then had embarrassment. Wow, I must really suck. Something must be wrong with me because I'm working hard and it's not always working out. Gosh, you must be a failure. I mean, this was the twisted thinking. And then guess what? Then I wouldn't ask for more help at all because I was embarrassed. Right. So I just tell people, I'm like, don't do what I did. Don't have the deadly combination of ego and embarrassment keep you shackled and not raising your hand. Because as soon as I got down on my knees and I was like, okay, I've lost everything. It took me losing everything. I'm finally open, universe, God. Whatever you've got to show me, lay it on me. I am willing. I'm receiving because I've got nothing. I've got nothing. And I've got to be able to feed my son, you know? So it took stripping away and losing everything to finally come into the flow of receiving and giving. And that changed my life forever.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your 2016 was my 2021.
Exactly.
And because of that, the whole structure of my company, now I understand. Now I understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now I understand why I started from fashion. Look, let me tell you something, and this is going to be recorded here for posterity. Right. I'm a fashion designer, and I am not a fashionista. Right. I am not a person that loves fashion for the sake of fashion. I'm not. Right. How did I get into fashion? How was I led into this position? Well, my fashion has a meaning, right? The clothing have meaning. They tell a story.
Sure.
The story that I'm passionate about, right? It's the story. It's not the clothing.
Sure.
This started an entire new structure because the fashion is one of the entryways for the customer journey.
That's right.
The customer can come in from the book. The customer can come in from the course. The customer can come in from the coaching. But if the customer comes in from the clothing, it's just another path.
That's right.
Right? And it is about the content. It is about the mission. It is about the growth. It is about gifting. Everything that I learned through my experiences, through my I call it my patches, like I got those smacks around my life, throughout my life. And instead of sitting being resentful that I got smacked, I started taking notes. Okay, I got smacked. How did I get smacked? Why did I get smacked? Yeah. How did I get up? Oh, I can share that with you. I can tell you how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I've been I take as the highest compliment is people saying, "Alok, thank you so much." When you talk about Uplift Millions and what you're doing in your company, you're honest about the whole journey, not just the shiny parts, not just the things that worked, but you're truthful on the bruises and the bumps, not from a victim energy, but from a desire to say, hey, you don't have to make the mistakes that I made, right? And for me, I look at all the parts and I just say thank you for all of it, because it all added up to this exact journey. And for each of you out there, whatever whatever the bumps along the way have been, if you can start seeing them as perfect,
right?
I mean, which, and I have people say to me, Alok, what about this, sexual assault? And of course, I'm never going to say to somebody that that's perfect. And what I've seen some people sort of be able to start doing out of the major life challenges, well, what do? Do they crumble and break? Right. And, if we get into kintsugi, right. Right. Or are you going to glue that back together with gold? Right. And make a beautiful piece out of all the pieces, even the ones that don't feel good. How does that position you and creates your unique story and journey in this world so that you can uplift other people's lives? And so, yeah.
Alok, it's exactly that. I interviewed women for 3 years, women that had gone through tragedies. Many of them, they were molested by relatives, raped. The stories were tragic, It wasn't like, I didn't succeed here or there. It was major, major adversities. And all of them ended up using the exact thing that broke them as their mission in life. They found a job, they wrote a book, they volunteered, whatever it is, in whichever area that they went in, it was related to exactly what broke them. And then what happened was that even though they are living in repeating the story and being surrounded by that thing became the source of joy, right? Because now they're helping other people, and there is nothing more joyful, more that creates more joy than to help people and make them feel better. So they took whatever broke them to make other people feel amazing. And suddenly that thing that broke them became the source of the happiness in their lives.
Yeah.
Every single one, Alok, I interviewed hundreds of women. Every single one, they had the 10 things in common that I put on my book, but they all ended up using whatever broke them to inspire other people and be a source of light. You know, it was darkness. I just put a post on my Facebook the other day, and I wrote, you know, when you have a dark room and you open the door, the light goes into the dark.
Yeah.
But the darkness from inside the room doesn't go out and makes the lit room darker. The force and the power of light is so much stronger, right? But we need the dark in order to be able to see the light. We need the contrast.
You want to hear even take that analogy one step further? Someone blew my mind the other day because they actually said there is no darkness. Darkness is just a certain level of light. And I was like,
interesting.
It's just a low level of light, but there is light. And so the question is, how bright will we shine in this world?
Yeah.
Right. No matter what has occurred in your existence, you know, for us, when we talk about blue zone leadership, right, in our company, it's a style of leadership that we truly believe is the future of business. And blue zone leadership is predicated on leaders of companies, organizations who value gender equality, racial equality, economic pay equality, environmental stewardship, right? Like, these don't have to be things that are like a side value. No, they become the core building blocks, right? And one of them is emotional, spiritual, mental health, right? So when you can say the thing that broke you, you know, okay. And well, is there a path where you can leverage that, change that, move that into being a light in the world for others, right? Or will you just stay broken, right? Yep. And I love what you're sharing. I know for me, the moment of searching for a pulse in my mother's neck, you know, was absolutely devastating. And what I learned about living, you know, it's almost the strangest thing to say. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because I live differently. I live from a place of gratitude and appreciation for how tender and precious this all is because of that moment of searching for her neck, you know, searching for the pulse in her neck. So not comparing to anybody else's journey, but just saying, can we take our power back to be the powerful creators that we were each born to be by taking those really difficult things and saying, okay, why did I come to Earth? What mission? Because we each came here with a mission. Just most of us have had so much junk layered on it that you can't see that mission. But inside of you already, in my belief system, you already were coded already in your DNA for a path of service. As humans, we literally are born with hardwiring to serve others and we take a joy out of making other people's lives better. Yet so many of us kind of get so caught up in the day-to-day things. So, you know, if there's something, a calling, you have a calling to serve, know that you're not crazy. You're not weird. You're actually listening to, I think, a core soul level voice inside of you that's longing to be heard if we would only listen.
Yes. And you know what? We also need to inspire other people around us to get out of that victim mode and show them the power that they have through their story
That's right.
Do so much good. I was talking to somebody, and she was very angry at the medical establishment,
Yep.
and rightly so. She had really gone through a lot.
Sure.
And she was at the same time looking for a path of work. And
Right.
I said to her, "How about being a patient advocate?"
Yeah.
I mean, you can take this knowledge that you have by your horrible experiences
Yeah.
and create. And I started. Look, I built her a company.
Yeah.
I told her, you can start this $1 million company. It's all over the United States. You're going to have nurses working for you. You're going to have people in every state, and people are going to hire a patient advocate before they go into the hospital. And she's looking at me, and her eyes are shining. And I said, look, you can stay angry at doctors for the rest of your life, or you can do something about it with this fire, right? This anger, this disappointment, this hurt, this pain. You could use it for good, because that heat is energy. You can you could use that energy for bad, or you could use this energy to build a multi-million-dollar company.
Well, this right here is the litmus test, right? Because I will find out when we ask questions like that, you'll find out, is the person more attached to the self-righteousness of the anger, or more attached to being a solution in the world, right? Like, I don't discredit that she went through and had a bad experience.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's going to resist creating a solution, I'm like, well, then you're just attached to the self-righteousness of being wronged.
Exactly.
And by the way, that doesn't help anybody avoid you have the experience that you had.
That's right.
You'll just be attached to your self-righteousness.
Exactly. You know how I asked that question? I asked, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy?
That's correct.
That's it. You know, it's a choice that we have. You know, I write everywhere. Joy is a choice.
That's correct.
It's a choice. Everything, how we feel, it's a choice that we have. It's a power that we have. And I said, the moment that you give this power to somebody else,
that's correct,
you lose that, you know, that strength that you have, that control that you have to make something good out of the bad that you experience.
Yeah. Are you going to stay a victim to your life and be, you know, there's two energies, there's cause and effect, right? So most people are the effect. Most people are sitting passively receiving life and then pissed off about it. You literally, in one decision to move from being a passive recipient of life, who is a victim to the circumstance and blaming, you can literally end all of that by going, actually, somewhere, I'm a powerful creator. I created the circumstance, right? And people will use a very intense one, sexual assault, to go, well, I didn't create that. Understood. I'm not blaming anybody for those circumstances. But I am saying you don't need to stay a victim to your circumstances for the rest of your life, because then you're staying in the prison that person
put you in
on you forever, perpetually.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, look, move into being as powerful creator as you were born to be by the Spirit. You know, don't let anybody rob you of your ability to be that powerful creator.
Yes. Look, I'm going to send you a video after the show.
Yeah.
It's a documentary, okay, of the story of this man, Nick Harris, who was wrongly accused from murdering somebody, and he was 21 years in death row.
Oh, man.
And then he was found innocent. And I started communicating with him. I want very much to interview him. But here is everybody wants to interview him about the death row period of his life.
Right.
He doesn't want to talk about that anymore. He said, I came out, I gave everybody, I talked, I made a documentary. Now I want to talk about the good and the things with it. And he said that nobody wants, because that's not what's attracting their guests to watch the show. I said, Nick, I want to talk to you exactly about that. I want to talk about what you did to have this amazing attitude of gratitude I'm gonna send you his. I'm gonna give it to everybody. I'm gonna promote this documentary. I'm gonna send this documentary, but watch the documentary. Pray for me that he will agree to be interviewed, not about the death row period, but how he read thousands of books a year, how his vocabulary is, I'm jealous of, not in a mean way, in a good way, I'm admiration way, of how he speaks. And he was a drug addict that had come out of school, and he just changed his life, and he lives a life of gratitude. 21 years in death row. If he can do it, I mean, we can all do it. And I told him, I said, I want to show your light to the world, because if you can have this light, we can all have this light, right? So I'll send that to you and to everybody else. We're getting to the end, and I want to ask, give us like a parting thought, something that you want to share with the community.
You know, I truly believe that each of you listening is a Blue Zone leader in your own way. We are born this way. We are hardwired this way. And it's society and stories and adults that kind of shape how we've evolved. And I really want, if there's something inside of you, you're listening, and there's something inside of you that knows you have a deeper calling and a deeper calling to serve, listen to that. It's your soul. Literally, it might be a whisper, but eventually it'll be a speaking voice, and then it'll be a loud voice, right? The more that you allow your soul to really emerge and talk, and you know, from our vantage point, I mean, it's, you know, seeing people allow that inner truth and that inner wisdom to emerge is one of the most beautiful, glorious moments that I live for. I live to see that in people. So,
you know, what you're saying, Alok, is like you're delivering, you are being at the birth. It's it's the birth of the soul in the form that it's supposed to show up. So being present, I understand what you're saying, because I experience the same way. When you help somebody show up as they're meant to show up, it is like witnessing birth.
It's so beautiful. And when we then see that vision move into their business and their livelihood, and particularly for women, 75% of our clients have been women. We believe in financial sovereignty for women. You know, one of the biggest compliments I got recently is a woman in our elite program, and she's been in the coaching industry a long time. And she literally said, you know, Alok, to have 4 men, there's 4 men on our team at that level. She said, to have 4 men who don't tear me down, who don't tell me I'm not capable, who don't tell me to lower my prices, who don't tell me that my dreams are too big. She said, it's a whole new experience to have men. And I looked at her, I said, look, we're not going to accept anything but your highest, your biggest vision. You know, forget undermining you. We're calling you forward to your highest vision of what you're capable of, and nothing short of that. And she literally was like, yeah, that's not the norm, you know? And I'm like, yeah, we live in a changing world. It used to be women that were behind the scenes as the man's on the stage doing blah, 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 blah. I said to her, you're the one out on the stage, and there's us 4 guys behind the curtain going, yay!
That's amazing. That's amazing. This is so amazing. I want to share with anybody who is watching this live, and the people who are going to watch on replay, I highly recommend. And I never do any sales shows. This is not a sales show. This is just a testimonial of somebody that I met, Alok. I trust Alok. And if you are looking to have a coach for your business and have it grow and expand, as long as you are a mission-driven company, as long as you are somebody who wants to do and create also for others and make this world better than it was before. Because if that's not what you're looking for, then Alok is not your guy. And he will be the first one to say that.
First one. I will literally, like, when people, if you're like, I just want to get my Lamborghini and private jet, I'm going to be like, awesome. There's 1,000 other people and they care about that.
That's right.
we don't, as an organization. I mean, you get to, you know, I moved in a dream house, got a dream car. You get to have those things. It's not a big deal, but it's not what drives me.
Right.
Like, you have to have a mission that I actually care about and that our whole team can care about. Otherwise, it's like, what's it for?
That's right. That's right. So that's why I really wanted to mention it, because
Yeah.
because I know it's for the betterment of the world. So Alok, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much. This was another amazing week. Please share this in your pages. I depend on you to share. This is free information. We just want other people to be exposed to this amazing content and amazing people that I am blessed to meet and bring to you. So take this video, go on my Facebook page, because in the group is private, but go on my private page on Facebook and share it with all your friends and family. And have a good night, everybody. It was so wonderful to spend this hour with you.
It's a joy to be here. Thanks, everybody.